Hello, my beloved friends, Christians. If you're not a Christian, welcome in. I go over and teach and influence you to change your life. So even if you don't believe in God as well, if you're an atheist, well, come on in. Because let me tell you something. I'm going to give you something that you really just cannot argue about. If you do not believe that there is a God, there's one thing, one truth that you can believe in, and that is that Jesus was right in all that he taught. The Bible is indeed our protection, what Jesus taught, the whole New Testament. How do we know this, atheist? How do we know? Well, I will give you two scriptures, two ways that Jesus taught, and then you can look into the rest yourself to see how what Jesus taught is our protection. First off, we know that if we get drunk, we're not in our right mind. So what happens? We're not thinking right. So we end up doing things that we wouldn't do otherwise. Jesus taught not to get drunk. It was for our protection, not to try to have control over you. So let's set aside any denominational teachings or any teachings that you've received from childhood or through your life, okay? And let's just focus on right now what Jesus taught. When we get drunk and we're not thinking correctly, we may get into our vehicle and drive under the influence. It can cause us to get pulled over. If we get pulled over, what happens? We go to jail. Our vehicle gets impounded, and because we're in jail, we can't go to work, we lose our job. So we've now lost our car, we've lost our job, we can't see our family except maybe visitation. Our whole life is flipped upside down. Or you may get in an accident, hit somebody, and God forbid that when you hit some vehicle or even a person, what if they die because of it? Well, now you're in prison for manslaughter. Ruined your whole life. Jesus said not to get drunk for a reason. We may get into a big brawl, a big fight. It can put you in jail. If you kill that person, you'll be put in prison. We say things and we do things that we wouldn't normally do or say. You may lose a close person, a girlfriend, by something that you say when you're drunk that you wouldn't otherwise. There's many things that can happen that we see happen all the time, right? Okay, now let's look at being sexually immoral. Jesus taught us not to be sexually immoral. He said that one who is sexually immoral sins against his own self. But why? Why did he say that? Well, because we're hurting our own body. We can get STDs, we can get HIV, AIDS, right? Not only that, we can get someone pregnant. Well, if we get someone pregnant, we may feel obligated like we have to marry that individual. Well, we end up in more than likely a marriage, not all the time, but a marriage that we aren't happy in because, well, we really aren't compatible, right? Which causes other problems. It can cause adultery. It can cause divorce. It can cause arguments in front of the children that are not healthy. If you don't marry the person, well, you have to pay child support, right? Makes it harder for you to live. And on the female side of things, well, now you have a child that you have to care for alone, and it's hard. It isn't easy. Even if you're receiving child support, it isn't easy to raise a child or children on your own, is it? Also, whether you realize it or not, when two people come together, which remember Jesus said that intimacy in that way is to be only for married couples. And the reason why he says, because you become one. Well, that when you become one with an individual, you can become one with anyone that you sleep with. Because what is happening is you're now taking on all that that person is. So if that person has demonic entity attached to it, can transfer to you. Yeah, that's what happens. You're taking on that person. So marriage, you're meant to stay clean, you and your person. So when you come together in marriage, you're both clean, so no demonic entities, spirits can be transferred to each other. You're clean, you're one as a couple, right? As husband and wife. I can go on and on. There are many reasons why we should obey what Jesus taught. Even if you don't believe there is a God, Jesus was right in all he said. And it's also written, Jesus is the way, the life, and the truth, and no one gets to the Father except through him, which Father is our God. And God told Jesus everything to say to us. But like I said, even if you're not to that point where you're convinced that God exists, how can you say that Jesus wasn't right in all he said? Go through it. I'm challenging you. I'm challenging you. And I will go toe to toe with you on all that Jesus spoke and how it is indeed what he spoke for our own protection through this life. That all he said to do and not do is 100% for our protection. We'll protect you. It'll keep you from dark consequences. Okay, stay though. Stay. Join me. Let's go over. It's a knowledge, wisdom card that I'm going to pull. And then I'm going to go into a Bible verse. Okay? And then we'll go into an alignment card, and then I love myself card. So stick around. Okay, I'm going to shuffle the deck, and let's see what we get, okay? Okay, remember this is our wisdom knowledge card. It's just a wisdom. It's a common sense is what it is, okay? All right, so this is the card we got. It's something that we do. And of course, we have the lamp here of light to follow. Oh, this is, I pulled from the Bible deck. Okay, so I guess it's meant to be that way. So we're going to do the scripture first. Matthew chapter 11, verse 29. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. This is what Jesus said, okay? He's humble and he's gentle of heart. And if you take his teaching upon your own self, you will have rest. And it's true. So if you don't believe in eternal life, okay, that you'll have rest after you die by living according to his teachings, you will be at rest more here, because you will be escaping the consequences of what isn't good for you that he taught, okay? All right, let's now get into, okay, we'll get into our Bible wisdom card now, okay? Let's see what comes out. Okay, so we've got this card. Purple, dark purple, is the meaning of royalty, okay? Evil from the heart is from, there's only one place the evil can come from, and it's obviously not from Jesus. It's from his opposition. Yep, the ancient serpent, the devil. So if we live in the way Jesus taught, if we learn from him, then we will escape the evil consequences of his opposition. It's a choice. We know that. It is a choice indeed. Okay, let's get into our enlightenment card. This is like my favorite, is the enlightenment card. So, okay, we got light. Light indeed. Wow, I'm really getting, with this card, wow, this is incredible. With this card, I'm actually getting light and darkness combined. I don't believe I've gotten that with any of my enlightened cards before. Now this card, first off, if we look at the fire pit here, it's also convictive of a cauldron, so witchcraft. And you'll notice that the fire here is shaped like a witch's hat. And the stars here can represent the heavenly realms, and it can also be the opposition of pentagram. Now, pentagrams are used for witchcraft, but a pentagram is also the Star of David. But we want to make sure that we're choosing the light, so that we're staying away from witchcraft, from the dark side of spirituality. Now, we can see up here at the top, we can see a bird. Now, it's depicting a raven. A raven symbolizes death, rebirth, transformation. It can also mean a literal death of the body, where the soul, the spirit, leaves the body. But what we don't want to lose our life because we bear rotten fruit, okay? Which is what witchcraft would depict. What we want here is we want a rebirth, a transformation of the way we think and the way our heart moves, okay? Now, this girl here, see her? She is depicting a time of the Romans. So maybe she worships other gods. And it may not even be the Roman mythology, which stemmed from the Greeks. It could just be a god making of her own, which is actually idolatry. So that would be leaning towards the dark side of things. Now, she's also holding what you would call a script in her hands. Now, this can be depicted as a sacrificial ritual, which God warns against, okay? Or it can also be depicted of the law of God. So we can see here the matter of light and darkness. Now, there should not be any reason why anyone would not believe in light and dark. Just as we have the sun that comes up, the light, and the sun going down, the moon coming up, the dark. Just as we have good works and we have bad works that people do. Just as we have God and we have Satan. Do we see? Do we see? Mm-hmm. So it's all a choice, okay? All right, let's go ahead. You know what? I'm drawn to the look on her face. this female, she's liking what she's doing. So whether it be that her heart is very dark and evil and she enjoys trying to control other people's lives through witchcraft, which Jesus is against and which God is against, or whether she is finding great enjoyment in the fulfillment of the law of God. It's a choice. But a dark heart will be thrown into outer darkness, just as it's written. You know, funny thing, you know, it just came to me. So I met this man like a year ago, and he was telling me his story about what happened when he died. He got in an accident and he was dead for a little while, and he was revived back to life. But he said while he was dead, it was complete darkness. So that tells me that if he had stayed dead, then it would have been hell that he would enter into on Judgment Day, just as it's written, because he was in outer darkness when he died. He didn't see any beauty, nothing that other people that have died and come back have talked about. So I find that quite interesting, because there is a Bible verse that says you'll be thrown into outer darkness. And then when the world is judged as a whole, they'll be thrown into the fiery pit of hell, the lake of fire. Okay? There's more to Sheol, which is hell. There's a lot to talk about on that subject, and I feel like there's a lot of misunderstandings in it, because we also have the book of Thomas, which talks about tortures that take place in hell, Sheol, the underworld. Jesus actually descended into Sheol at one time. Okay, he went down there to visit. And also, you know, you can pull this up on YouTube. I believe it's probably still on there. If not, you could probably Google it and it'll probably come up. But there were some workers, I believe they were, if I remember, I think they were geology workers, and they were, they had a machine. They were going into the ground, deep into the ground. I think they were testing the waves of the earth, something of that sort, and they literally believe they drilled into hell. They drilled so far down, and they had a microphone that they lowered down in there, and they could hear screaming, okay? Like actual tortures of hell, and you can hear it. So if you can find it, look for it, okay? Anyway, okay, let's get into our I Love Myself card. Loving thoughts. Today, I pay attention to my thoughts. My mind is a garden. I nourish all I wish to grow, gently removing all that hinders, compassion for my most beloved and cherished self. God said to, Jesus said to watch your thoughts, okay? Because your thoughts turn into action. So we must have control of our thoughts. We don't just go off of our thought, because that's quite reckless and can cause much damage in your life and another's life, right? Okay, All right. Well, y'all, all of those who have joined me today, all of you from around the world, regardless of your beliefs, I'm so glad that you joined me today. And I hope that you'll come back and join me again because you do know I will be back in a time.